I am here in Vancouver with Jodie, and Jodie helps me with my marketing and my social media and things like that. And she'll be like prompting me and asking me the questions that you may have on your mind. So, Jodie, thank you so much for being here to do that with me today. So, Jodie, we're going to be talking about some client experience stuff today because we love talking about client experience. And as you've seen, my audience really loves talking about client
Everyone loves talking about client experience.
Well, and I think it's because I think it's a sexy topic. I think it's
yeah.
fun. I think it's fun to be able to give our clients like a really cool experience, but I also think it's very important as well too.
100%.
And as we are moving into an even more competitive space where it takes a lot for us to be able to be successful, I think that this is a key point that really sets stylists apart, that helps them stay ahead. And I think it would be a good combo for today.
Yeah, when I think luxury experience, I think personalization, like 100% of the time. So I think that's a great place to start. When it comes to personalization, I know you talk a lot about how that's going to give people more willingness to pay your premium prices.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, how does personalization like affect a client's willingness to pay those premium rates?
Yeah. So first off, I wish I had the exact fact up, so I'm going to butcher it, but I believe like it actually is, studies show that if somebody experiences a more personalized experience, then they're willing to spend like up to 18% more or something like that, which is significant in the grand scheme. So I think like a good example would be like, let's say that you walk into a store, okay, and you have to like go through all of the racks of clothes. You have to try a bunch of stuff on to see if it's your vibe or not, and you have to spend a lot of time like figuring all that stuff out, right? It takes a long time. You have to look through all this shit, and you have to figure out how you're going to fit all of this stuff into your box of who you are, right? Versus let's say that you walk into a store and you get like a personalized shopper, right? And you have this person like ask you like what your vibe is, what you prefer in your clothes, and what your style is, et cetera, what your budget is even. And they go and pick out these clothes for you very quickly, and they give you all these options, and then everything fits perfectly, and you have a great experience, and you're in and out of there in a much faster time. Like, you're going to be willing to spend more money on more clothes. You're going to want to go back there because you had an excellent experience, right? And everything is like streamlined and very much fit for you. So just at the end of the day, right? Like, you're going to be more willing to spend money. You're going to be more willing to return to that type of experience. And I mean, that is the case if you look at like luxury brands.
I was just going to say, this is my exact experience shopping. There's stores that I will avoid, and I will go somewhere where I know I'm going to pay more because it's going to be like less digging through things.
Exactly. And then even then some, like if you go into like an Hermes or whatever, there's like those associates, right? Those sales associates, like they're very much like big about like giving you that personalized shopping experience, you know? So yeah, I don't know if that's the best example, but maybe to put it in perspective, like that's why somebody's more willing to spend more money with you when you have a personalized experience, is because it removes a lot of bullshit, and then also makes somebody feel really heard and seen. It humanizes them. It doesn't feel like you're just in like on a conveyor belt in like a machine or like a hair factory, you know? And it just makes somebody happier overall, and also exemplifies the value of what you're offering too, because what sets you apart, right? Like if you're just doing everything, if you're just offering the same experience that everybody else is offering, right, then you're blending in. So how do you stand out? It's by giving every single person a super unique experience by personalizing the experience for them.
Okay, so I love that you said like, you know, taking the personalization beyond what everyone else is doing. So what does that like next level personalized experience look like in the salon setting?
Well, what it does not look like is like, because I will ask people if they have a personalized experience, and they'll say yes. And then they'll say like, oh, like I have a custom tailored consultation every single time. Oh, I give somebody the hair that they specifically want every single time. Or, oh, I remember that Susie really likes coffee, so every single time Susie comes in, I get her a coffee, right? Which that's impressive,
Right.
you know, like you know, having somebody's drink ready because you know them and you know that they like that drink, like it's impressive, right? But it also has its downsides. So like for me, for example, like I use this example a lot and Freddie listens to the podcast every now and then. So shout out to you, Freddie. I know that you've heard this example before, but Freddie is one of my old hairdressers, and he's absolutely amazing. And we're good friends. And I would go to him to get my hair colored and cut like every 4 weeks. And every time I would go there, like we would oftentimes like chat it up, you
Mhm.
know, and we've set the precedent and he has the impression of me that we like to chat,
Right.
you know? So whenever I go there, we chat, we catch up with each other, we like kiki, like it's very fun. Sometimes I want to walk in there and I don't want to talk at all.
Right.
And so, you know, the example of like a drink, right? Like maybe Freddie had seen me like get a glass of wine one time, right? Like don't assume that I just want that glass of wine every single time. Don't assume that I want to chat with you every single time, you know? And so your clients, you know, are dynamic. You are dynamic as a human being. Your needs and your wants change every single day. So even if you've seen Susie 10, 20 times, you don't freaking know how her brain or how her mood has changed and what
Right.
her desires and wants have changed unless you're checking in and you're actually asking.
Right.
So bringing it to the next level is number one, not assuming, because we assume a lot. Even when it comes back to what we call a luxury client experience, such as like a scalp massage included in every service, right? Absolutely, I believe that's like an essential. Like, I don't think there's any arguing that like everybody should be doing that. But who said that every single one of your clients wants a scalp massage?
Right.
Like, not everybody like loves it. And so it's about having the option, but allowing somebody to opt out of the option.
Right.
And you'd be surprised with how many of my students who have really leaned into personalizing their experience and allowing people to opt out these really cool things, how many people don't want a scalp massage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That does surprise me.
No, girl, same. Because that's my
The best
tea.
part.
Like you can scalp massage me all day, every day. Okay. But some people don't. And I don't know if it's just because maybe the stylist themselves maybe has a heavy hand or somebody actually just doesn't,
injuring people out here.
no, literally, or the client just doesn't like it. I know that I have clients who don't like it.
Right.
I actually even had a client who got in a very terrible car accident and their skull fractured into like hundreds of pieces or something
God.
insane. And she's very lucky to be alive. But I saw her for the first time and she was like, I so appreciate you asking me if I want a scalp massage or not, because I do not,
Right.
because my skull is very sensitive.
Oh
And I have another example of like a great client, Linda, that I used to do for years when I lived in a different area. Linda, one time, I had done her hair for a long time and absolutely love this lady. And we switch our color lines. And for the first like 2 or 3 times, I didn't ask her if she had any like reactions to the new color.
Right.
I cared way more about like, you know, are you liking your color? Like, does it look good? And everything seemed great whenever she left. By the third appointment, we started to implement this thing that the brand had, which was like a consultation form, basically, like at the beginning of the appointment, where it asked them like different questions about like what retail they're using at home. It was basically the brand trying to get us to sell more retail, like having a tool to sell more retail, right? But on there was like, have you had any allergic reactions? And Linda had said yes. And I went to consult with Linda and using this thing that I'd never had her do before.
Right.
And I was like, Linda, like what is this? Like, what do you mean you had an allergic reaction? She was like, well, ever since we switched to the color lines, every time I go home, I've had like these hives on my scalp.
Oh no.
And I'm like, Linda, why didn't you tell me the last time you were here, girl? Like, what the hell? And so it just goes to show you, like, sometimes like people aren't going to be willing to communicate these things with you.
Right.
And so Linda may have just silently like left me, because every single time that she left the salon, she was having an allergic reaction.
Right.
She may have not felt the confidence or the courage to share with me that type of thing. You know, I fucking love Linda. She's super, super loyal. Tipped me so well, bought anything I told her to buy. And I such a pleasure having in the salon, right? If that woman left me because she did not feel confident to tell me that thing, like that would suck.
Right.
You know? And so it goes back to I say all this to say, like, non-confrontational communication and then allowing somebody to opt in and out of those things can be really powerful.
Right.
And so that's a lot of what I teach my students when it comes to personalization.
So what I hear you saying then is personalization, it's not per client, it's per appointment.
Yes. I love that. Oh my God. Thank you. I'll be using that in the future. Yes, ma'am. That is exactly it.
Okay, I love that. So can you talk a little bit, because I think, something that we can fall into the habit of as stylists is we'll do all of these things for our new clients, right? And even when it comes to like consultations and things like that, they'll be very like detailed at first and then kind of go a little bit more, assumption based, I want to say.
Yes.
Okay, so can we talk about like how because we always talk a lot about how many tasks the stylist has, right? So how do you keep these hyper personalized experiences
Yeah.
consistent through existing clients and new clients without like having to remember like just the human element, the human error of
Yeah.
remembering to do this every time?
Okay, so I love this conversation so much because it's important to note the significance of having a consistent client experience
Mhm.
when we're talking about personalization. Because like consistent client experience is massively important. Like people want to have a predictable experience in return for the money that they're spending with you every single time.
Yeah.
It's actually a huge reason why somebody will leave you is because their experience with you is inconsistent.
Right.
And so actually, like we'll talk about a new client for a second, right? Like a new client comes in for the first time, they have an excellent, insane experience with you because you went above and beyond for this person.
Mhm.
Then they come in the fourth time and you've kind of weaned off and you haven't given them as much value as they experienced that first time, right? And so that's going to be something that may make them not want to come back and not justify that amount of money that they're spending with you. It's really hard to retain a new client. And so if you're going to give a new client for the first time an amazing experience, you better be prepared and systematized to be able to give that every single time.
Yeah.
Now, although we want to give a consistent experience, we also want to keep it personalized. And so it's not about giving the same client experience the same type of client experience every single time. It's about delivering on the quality of that experience and the same structure of client experience every single time, if that makes sense. So what I teach my students is how to create a systematized client experience. And that goes for like the things that you do in every step of the appointment, like the same questions that you ask in the consultation, the way that you recommend retail and add-ons, and how you roll that out and you sum it up at the end, how the shampoo experience goes, right? You have these like set standard procedures of how you approach those things every single day. And it becomes a documented process and you follow that every single time you have a client in. So then it's guaranteeing that you give every single person that same quality of service. Right. And you, especially if you are neurodivergent, my friend, like having a system like this is so helpful because you're no longer running your day out of control or forgetting this, that, or the third, because everything is by the step by step that you have to follow. So going back to your question with all these things said, with the personalization part of it, right? Let's say that we want to allow this person to opt in or out of a scalp massage, right? Digital form is a great way to do it. And this is what I teach my students is having somebody fill out the form prior to coming into the salon. And then you have all those things ready to go up front and understood up front before they even walk through the door. Because I know for me, when I had to ask somebody like what they wanted to drink, even when they told me that in our consultation, I'm like, oh shit, well, now I have to like spend time like going and running to the Keurig and like putting the pod in and like doing this, that, and the third, and then mixing up my formula and like doing all that stuff. And then like bringing the cup back over. Like it's just disorienting.
Right.
So understanding all those things up front before they even walk through the door is really helpful for your brain and your organization and being prepared for how the rest of the service is going to go. And that's a lot of the feedback that my students have given me is that it makes them feel so much more prepared and streamlined and organized throughout the appointment. And it also really fucking blows the client away too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, it's funny, even like from a client perspective, the last time been seeing my hairstylist forever. And the last time I went, I'm like, I love my hair, but I left and I was kind of like disappointed because she skipped the scalp massage. And I was like, what is the rush here?
Yeah,
So
dude.
I think we underestimate sometimes, like, because, if your day's running a little bit busy and all of those things, like the impact that those little things can have on the client experience.
Absolutely. And it's things that you may not even think about or realize. And so having that system that you follow every single time and
Yeah.
it's like a non-negotiable. And if you do, like, let's say, here's how we fix that.
Right.
All right. Like, let's say that you're in a circumstance where you're running behind and you're like, I just don't have time to give this person a scalp massage. Right. Like, communicate that.
Mhm.
Like, that's all you got to do is communicate it. Be like, because if you just shove it out into the table and you pretend that like they're not going to notice, people notice shit.
For sure.
Like you're the one who your brain is really busy and you're like working on this person and like really your brain is really active, right? Your client is sitting there doing jack shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like your client
exactly.
is sitting there doing nothing. All they have is time to
Right.
notice every single detail of what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's our fifth appointment that day, but it's your client's only appointment in like a
Yes.
12, 8 to 12 week period. So,
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. And so you just communicate with the person and be like, Susie, I know that you probably love getting a scalp massage with me every single time. Unfortunately, I am running behind today and
mhm,
I feel disgusting even asking you this or telling
right.
you this. But if next time you came to see me, I give you a double extra long scalp massage, would you
Yeah,
be okay if we skip the scalp massage today?
I love
Right?
that.
So offer a solution, be honest and truthful up front and
Yeah.
like handle it that way. And then you would have been like, yeah, sure,
A
girl. Like,
thousand percent.
but
Yeah.
if you just shove it under the rug and you hope that
Yeah.
they don't notice, like I mean, that even goes to like your the quality of your work or the results of your work. Like let's say that you got some bleeders,
Yeah.
it happens. I don't give a shit
For
how
sure.
many years you've been doing hair.
Yeah.
If you have had some bleeders from highlights, like and you just shove it under the rug and you hope that your client doesn't notice or say anything, like
Yeah.
that person just may never say anything and never come back to you.
So true.
So it's just about being honest and offering a consistent experience.
So with that being said, have you noticed or have your students noticed who've like implemented, the form to make sure that they're consistent? Have they noticed a tangible difference in terms of retention?
Absolutely yes. 100% yes. Particularly with the consultation questions.
Right.
People feel so taken care of and feel like every detail is paid attention to for the
Right.
person. Also, my students immediately make more money too because those people are now more willing to opt into add-ons and get retail
Mhm.
recommendations because they're getting the questions actually asked to them every single appointment. Number one, like of what's going on with your hair, right? And then that opens up conversations and opportunities for those things.
Right.
But not only that, like even without the consultation on the form, like people are opting into add-ons without any personal prompting through conversation. It's literally just on the form. And after somebody is able to opt into what essential oil scent that they want and what drink they want
Yeah.
and what music they want to listen to, they're like already blown away and they already are seeing the value in the service that they're paying for. And so what's an extra $15 for an extra long scalp massage, right? So they'll just
Totally.
throw it on there. So my students are seeing absolutely higher retention, 100% higher natural organic referrals because
Mm,
they're offering a client experience that is like no other. And you're giving somebody something to talk about.
right.
Well, if you had a great hair experience, you're not going to go home and tell everybody that you had a great hair experience if it's the same old experience that everybody else has.
1000%.
But if it's something that's worth talking about, something
Yeah.
that's like, oh, bitch, I bet you've never had a salon experience like this. I need to
Yeah.
tell everybody about this craziness, right?
Totally.
Like you're going to get referrals from that. You're going to get people wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have better retention because people are going to be able to see the value in what you're offering.
I love that. And I feel like it's a surprise and delight thing too.
Yes.
Like they really see that you're going the extra mile. So I think that's really important. Are there any other final notes you have in terms of personalization and the necessity of that moving into, the next era of our industry?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, even from my own personal experience, like I've been doing this shit like since I opened my suite,
Mm.
offering like a really personalized experience. I have clients tell me all the time when I talk to my husband about how much I pay for my hair, he's like, holy shit, like I cannot believe
Right.
that you're spending that much money, right? Or they'll talk to their friend and they'll be like, oh my God, I pay like half that price,
Right.
right? And what stops my clients from going to whoever else who probably can do that hair better than I can, honestly. Like I'm like an okay hairdresser,
Right.
okay? Like anybody can fucking do good hair
Right.
nowadays, in my opinion. What stops them is they're like, yeah, but I'm not just paying for the hair. They literally say this. Like
Mm,
they literally say this word for word. Like but it's not just paying for the hair. I'm paying for an entire experience. I'm
right.
paying for being comfortable with you. I'm paying for your expertise, but I'm also paying for this crazy personalized thing that I get every single
Right.
time. And they pay just for the passion and the effort that you've put into this shit to be different, to
1000%.
offer that type of cool experience that makes somebody feel comfortable and included in your space. So it's just like it's really powerful, and it's also sounds maybe a little bit complicated with how much we've talked about it today. It's
Right.
also really simple. It's like
Right.
a simple thing that you can do to be a game changer in your salon space.
I love that. I feel like this is the luxury market in a nutshell, honestly.
Period.
Right?